So we have today, we have people here from Camara, Ireland, Mr. Stephen Daly and Mr. John Fitzsimons, and I would like to welcome you here to the committee. In fact, in particular, Senator Mary Moran requested the committee that we would have you before the committee to hear about your work. So, and obviously we welcomed that. We were very interested in what you're doing. So I'd like to ask Mr. Daly to make his presentation on the work of the organisation in relation to IT in schools.
Thanks very much. First of all, just thank you very much for the opportunity to come in and speak to you today about the work of Camara. I'll start off by introducing the delegation. So on my right here is John Fitzsimons, who's the CEO of Camara, and my own name is Stephen Daly. I look after Camara's Irish programme, and we have Maureen O'Donnell as well, who's the European and Caribbean Service Manager. So Camara is an international charity and social enterprise that uses technology to improve education and deliver 21st century learning skills in disadvantaged communities around the world. We work in Africa, we work in the Caribbean, and we also obviously have programs in Ireland. Those who engage with Camara subscribe to three core beliefs. Those beliefs are that poverty in the 21st century is wrong, that education is a key tool with which to break down the cycles of poverty that people find themselves in, and that technology has the power to transform the way education is being delivered. So our vision, therefore, I suppose, is a world-class education, a technology-enabled world-class education being accessible to all. What we do to try and deliver on that vision is to bring a package of ICT in education programs to schools and youth centres around the world. We deliver a package including educator training, hardware, support and software to schools, community centres and youth centres in the countries in which we work. Of course, we couldn't obviously deliver those packages alone, and we've been very lucky over the past 10 years to be partnered by a number of brilliant organisations that have helped us in that, the likes of Google and Facebook, PwC, ESB, Electric Ireland, to name but a few. And what we've achieved in that 10 years is a significant global impact. We've reached about 900,000 young people at this stage. We've trained over 16,000 educators, and we've supplied over 62,000 computers. Now, we also deliver a programme in Ireland since 2010, and in the 5 years we've been working in Ireland, we've worked with over 250 organisations, both schools and youth centres mainly. We've delivered over 3,500 computers and trained over 1,100 educators. I say educators, I include teachers and youth workers with that term. So obviously, in our work in ICT and education in Ireland, we've seen that there are still huge gaps in the integration of computers and technology into the education system. I think those are probably indicated most clearly by a couple of statistics that I've pulled out in your slide pack there that were called out in the 2012 European SchoolNet survey on the state of ICT in education in Ireland. I suppose those statistics really point to, on average, 40% of students in Irish schools using computers less than once a week. 45% of students being in a school with support for ICT being classified as weak, in inverted commas, and 40% of students being taught by teachers with low confidence levels in using ICT. So despite the negative nature of these statistics, I suppose it's important to point out that this is not an issue of the lack of a plan. In 2008, the Department of Education released a fantastic report entitled Investing Effectively in ICT in Schools from 2008 to 2013. It was a 5-year plan. And in that plan, they identified 7 key areas of investment. And I've called out those 7 key areas there in the slides that you have. I suppose the interesting thing about those 7 areas is that they chime very closely with Camara's experience. Over the last 10 years, we've made many of the mistakes that are to be made in integrating ICT into teaching and learning environments. And the 7 areas that are covered are really key in addressing a lot of those mistakes. So I suppose what's clear is that this isn't an issue of planning or analysis, but it's an issue of implementation. Where we're failing is in the execution of our plans. And I suppose it's clear that the top-down approach isn't necessarily working particularly well, and that's for a myriad of reasons, from the financial position of the country over the last few years to the difficulties of managing industrial relations. But what's interesting during this period is that there's also a clear groundswell of demand from the bottom up, so to speak, of the education system. Education leaders, teachers and principals looking to want to integrate ICT effectively into their schools. And this has been indicated by the success of the model that Camara has been using in Ireland. And I suppose the success of that social enterprise model is mainly due to the fact that it's demand-driven. So rather than being a top-down approach, our model is a participatory approach in which stakeholders from across the system are demanding products and services from us. The fact that we're a social enterprise means that we're not looking for a commercial market segment from which we can make money, but instead we're driven to come up with, to design a solution or a set of products and services that address the entire aspect of a particular social problem. In addition, obviously, the not-for-profit constitution of an organisation like Camara means that the value for money and return on investment that we can offer to schools and youth centres is exponentially higher than that from the commercial sector, sometimes up to 10 times higher. So I want to leave you and finish on a short example on how organisations in the third sector, organisations like Camara, could work with government to address and to impact the 40% of the system that is lagging behind. In a scenario where, say, the Department of Education was to co-fund an organisation in the third sector, or to co-fund the third sector for roughly €5 million, where state IT assets were being channelled into reuse in education, and where there was cooperation and joined-up thinking between a number of departments. The third sector and organisations like Camara could quickly put in place initiatives where up to 1,600 of the schools most in need are being impacted, where up to 64,000 computers would be being delivered into the education system, with 20,000 teachers being trained, and most importantly, up to 340,000 of our young people, the young people in our education system today, being impacted and being delivered an improved education. So really my ask today, I suppose, is for the committee to work with the Departments of Education, the Departments of Social Protection, the Departments of Children and Youth Affairs, to push them to actively look towards the third sector, to actively work with organisations like Camara, to try to address these issues and to work with the third sector to try and address the final 40% of the system that's lagging behind. I suppose the committee here has the potential, and without the support and drive of this committee, we have the potential to leave the 7 areas that were mentioned earlier, to leave those as plans and not as plans that have been executed. I think we have an absolute duty to the people, the young people that are in our education system today, to try and execute on those plans and to bring that plan to fruition. So thank you very much for listening, and we'd both be delighted to take any questions that you have.
Okay, thanks, Stephen.